Why, hello. Let's play with these Jane Davenport Aquapastels because I haven't given them enough attention. I haven't given them a good enough shot. And I think I've played with them once, but look at the beautiful markings on these. They have this nice little label on them, and each has its own like name, like Frida and like Bumblebee, if I remember it, a whole bunch of other names that aren't the colors, but kind of like inspired by the colors. And if I remember right, you can get them in the same colors in other mediums. So like you can get the Frida one in a pan form of watercolor and all kinds of stuff like that. Beautiful colors. And I just haven't given them a college try. Frankly, I don't even know if you can get them anymore. I have no idea. I bought these a few years ago, so I've had them in my stash for quite a while, and they've just been neglected, and I want to fix that. I want to give all of those things that I've been neglecting some attention. I have a lot of pretty art supplies that just need to be played with. They deserve to be played with, and these are no different. Jane does a lot of like artsy characters of females with bright colors. It's not my normal type of art style, but I like bright colors. So I'm very drawn to colors like this and supplies. But here's the reference photo I'm going to use. Of course, it's the woods. It's my thing, okay? I like being in the woods, so I like drawing in the woods. So we're going to do some more woods. Is it going to work out with colors like this? I don't know. Let's find out. I'm a little nervous there's no black. If you've seen other things that I do, I tend to use a lot of black. So I get like a little nervous when there's no black to use. I'm going to try to do this without adding any other supplies at all. So I'm just going to try to use these and nothing else. And well, water. Come on. We're not going to count water with it because they're aqua pastels. You're supposed to use them with water. They're water-based crayons is what they are. So I wouldn't consider these an art quality. You could use them to make digital art with. So if you like turn it into a digital thing, but I would not put something like this into a gallery and sell the original. It's probably pretty good for things like art journaling, scrapbooking, or, the craft kind of stuff, but I would not use this for original fine art. It just isn't going to hold up. There's no light, fast information. It's craft supply, okay? So you got to know what you're using. But I can tell you, they did lay down very similar to the Carandash ones that I love. They lay down like those, but they don't seem to have as much pigment, not even close to as much pigment. These super bright colors are nice to play with. I mean, I can work with this. The colors are a little weird for landscape painting. That's not out of my wheelhouse, let's be serious here. I do wish there was a bit more pigment to them. You do end up having to use a lot of the crayon itself. However, they do dissolve into the water pretty well, and pretty quickly, actually. It's pretty easy to dissolve them with a water brush. These would actually be quite nice for on-the-go sketching. I know if you like to do more traditional art, these aren't the colors that you will mostly be looking for. If you're okay with experimenting with colors, using interesting colors for sketching out and about, these are actually kind of fun. I don't mind using unusual colors at all. In fact, I do it all the time, especially in my alien landscape series, like green skies and weird shit like that. The very lovely part about all of this is that they're layering really well. My favorite way of working is in layers. I don't know why my brain likes that, but it does. That's the main reason why I struggle with traditional watercolors, is because traditional watercolors, you have to plan better than that. You can't just put more on top and expect it to look right. It just doesn't work like that. And my brain does not like that. We fight. But mediums like this, I get along with. So things that are kind of water-based, they can kind of work like watercolor, but they're definitely not watercolor. So I get along very well with the water-soluble things that have pigment to them and a little bit of opacity to them, and that I can use actually in layers like this. Since we don't have a lot of dark colors, not really, I'm using an old fallback of using blues and purples for shadow areas and the warm tones of yellows and oranges, peaches and that kind of thing for the sunlight areas. It's a good tip if you're in a bind or if you want to jazz up a landscape. It's a good way to do it. Just throw a whole bunch of purples into your shadows and throw a whole bunch of yellow into your sun areas. But take it from a plein air painter. If you want to just add purples and blues to your shadows. If you just do that, just that on its own, you will have a brighter, more interesting landscape, okay? So if you're stuck, just try that and see what happens. Of course. Hey, why is my head in this? Can we not do that? I have more than 100 videos now. I should not be still having my head pop into this. Oh my God, why? And if you can't afford the Caran d'Ache Neo 2s, which are at least in my head, the premier water-soluble crayon that exists out there in the market. I frankly don't think there's anything better than those. If there are, tell me below, I'm going to try them. But if you can't afford those, that's okay, because there are all kinds of craft ones that you can make do with. You can still make cool art with. Use what you got. Use what you can afford. If you can't afford the fancy art ones, that's okay. You might be able to get away with the craft ones. I'm still able to do some pretty cool stuff with this very limited color palette. That's kind of unusual. The pigment is not as, it's not as bright, it's not as thick, but I can still do some cool art with them. You can still do cool art with stuff that isn't the best quality, All you gotta do is put in the work to do it. and that's the thing about art. And that's the thing that I like the most about it, is that the bar for entry is very, very low. You can use something like this and end up with a piece that looks like a very well done fine art piece. You can do that with a craft quality supply. I'd say that at least half of my videos are doing exactly that, trying to make fine art with things that are craft or kid supplies. And that's kind of what I want to do. I want to be able to help people be able to start. Just show folks that, hey, you can do this. You don't have to get the expensive supplies. Get some crayons, get some craft stuff like these. Try them out, see what you think, And the thing is, you gotta make a lot of ugly art before you get to the cool stuff. You just do. That's just how it works. Art is a skill just like anything else, and it takes time and effort and patience. That's what it just does. In a lot of ways, the practice of life is very similar. There's a lot of ugly things. It's dirty, it's messy. There's always an ugly stage. But you gotta keep going. You gotta keep putting in the effort. You gotta keep trying. And then you'll start seeing the delights of things around you. You'll start seeing all of those delightful things that the universe puts in front of you that you have to earn. Because you do have to earn it. You do. We are here to add to the world. We are here to make new things, to see what can happen or what will happen. That's what we're here for. We're here to make. We're here to create. We're here to add. And there's quite a delight in that knowledge. There's quite a delight in knowing that is the purpose of being. There are countless ways to add to the universe. It's just that art is my favorite, my personal favorite, and I do it the most. I've spent so many years adding to the universe with art. We just get along, we do. There's just so many reasons to be grateful to be in this grand experiment that is life. And I'm just counting my blessings today. So, hey, this turned out pretty good. What do y'all think? I like the contrasting colors because, these are some bright colors. But the greens kind of turned into interesting colors with those yellows. The blues and the purples, kind of left a little bit to be desired. There's a little bit of texture in it. Thank you for hanging out today. Bye.